Welcome to the Creative Content Club podcast with me, Naomi Rose. If you are a business owner who wants to consistently create content that connects and converts into clients, this is the podcast for you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let's get right into it. Hello, and welcome to episode number 5 of the Creative Content Club podcast with me, Naomi Rose. I literally just nearly forgot who I was then. But anyway, we are here. I know who I am. I am here to help you with content. And today I've got a great, juicy episode for you today on why your content is getting views but not sales. A lot of business owners feel they're nailing the content or they feel they're getting it out there, but then the sales aren't coming in, or they feel like they're maybe able to make some of the sales, but then their content isn't working for them. It seems sometimes to be one or the other. So I want to talk to you about joining those dots, making the content not just get the views, because views is always important, but actually get the sales, which is more important in business. But you need the visibility first. If you don't have the visibility, you're not going to get the sales. So we've got to do both. Before I actually get into today's episode, I'm going to do a sales pitch, which I know you shouldn't really do at the beginning of podcasts, or that's what some people say. However, this is a podcast about sales. So I am going to be talking to you about what I've got for sale, because we have to sell our offers. We have to put them out there. And I only have a very few ways that people can work with me. My one-to-one offer is a VIP content planning day, which you can do in person or online over 3 sessions. And that is about creating a content plan that works for you and your clients. So by the end of our time together, you will know exactly what content you need to create to make your life easier so you get more sales and you get the results you need. That is one of the ways you can work with me. The other way you can work with me is in the Creative Content Club membership. It's my membership. It costs 90p a day. And the value you get in there is massive. I'm not just there setting up the membership and then other people serve it. I am in there helping people get better results from their content, getting content that actually converts into clients, that connects consistently. That's the other way you can work with me. You can come and join the membership. It's a really lovely community of supportive business owners all wanting to achieve the same goal and help each other. And there are so many good things you get in there, from content planning through to metrics tracking. It's about action, not about sitting and watching lovely masterclasses, which we all do love to do, sometimes in double time in my case. But come and join that. If content is not your thing and you're not getting the sales, and even if you're not getting the views either of these two things will work for you. That's how people can work with me. These are the 2 offers I have that you can really work with me on at the moment. So I wanted to put that out there at the beginning of this episode to say that we need to be selling what we have to offer. But we also need the content to work for us, not just get views, not just get nice likes. I have been in the world of digital marketing for a long time. Feels like a long time, since the dawn of most of these social media channels, which is rather scary. While a lot of the time, a lot of people that I've been reporting to in previous companies have had their eyes on the growth of channels, eyes on how far post travel, can you make stuff go viral? Actually, it's completely irrelevant if you aren't seeing conversions. I would much rather, as I said on this podcast before, you have small audiences, but actually have an audience of engaged buying people. It's no use having 100,000 followers if no one buys. It's just a waste of time. So today I want to talk to you about how we can join those dots, getting content that not only gets us views and engagements, but also gets us the sales. Tip number 1 for you today. If your content is trying to speak to everybody, it's going to speak to nobody. It's not going to connect with anybody. People, when they buy, and particularly at the moment, they need to feel like you are talking directly to them, that you have written the content for them, with them in the room. The big thing to remember is whether you're writing an email, a social media post, standing on a stage, each person that is consuming that content is individual. They've got their own ears and their own eyes, and they need to feel like you are talking to them, that you are connecting with them, that you really know and understand what their problems are, that they feel seen and heard and listened to. Because if you're creating just generic content and putting out generic sales asks out there, like, I've got these brand new shoes, buy them. People aren't going to buy that. They want to know that you understand the kind of footwear they want. They want to know that you're talking to them. They want to feel something. We need to really build that content that talks to the individual. How you can do that? So when you are creating that content that speaks to that individual person, I always have that person in my mind. They are in front of me, like I am sitting there having a conversation with them, either on the phone, in person. And I really get to understand what they're talking to me about. I think about what it is that they're saying to me, how they're saying it, and I build the content as though the person was in the room, not that I'm on Canva or on a computer. I really focus on how I talk to them, the conversation I would have, and how I would want them, how they would want me to make them feel. Think about how you really can focus on that one person. This is where niching down gets a bit of a mixed reputation, because so many people get told they need to niche down on their audience, and a lot of people repel that. I've been one of the people that have repelled that in the past, but this is the reason why we talk about niching, because we can then speak to the individual people that are going to buy from us, and it's usually individual people that make the decision on whether they're going to buy. So think about how you talk to those people, how you make those connections. You don't have to put sales posts out all the time to do that. It's important to sell, yes, absolutely, but it's actually better to build that connection that gets the person that you want to buy from you to open up. That's the real magic, finding that content that gets people talking. The second tip, you're not connecting on an emotional or practical level. So there are two parts to this that I want to talk to you about. And I've said this before, and I'm absolutely a big believer. It's about how you make people feel. People make decisions based on emotion. The majority of the time, 95% of the time, decisions are subconscious and are made based on emotion. Then we back them up with logic, because we want to justify the decisions we've made. As human beings, we want to talk ourselves into some decisions because we want to make sure we've made the right decision, because we doubt ourselves. So the content you create has got to make people feel something. They've got to understand those emotions. So when you are putting content out there and sharing something, and it's getting those views, but it's not getting the sales, it's because people aren't seeing the no-brainer offer in there. They're not really understanding how that's relevant to them in that sense that makes them want to buy. It's not the right ask and the right positioning for them to really take that leap when you do put that offer out there, because you've not connected on that emotional level properly. And it's about finding and understanding how your client wants to feel, the transformations they want. They don't want features. Features are something they'll look at later. They want outcomes. They want transformation. They need to know they can also attain. What you've got to offer has to be attainable. If they feel that they can't achieve it, if they can't feel that they can achieve what you're offering, people won't buy. Doesn't mean your offer isn't great. It just means they don't think that they will be able to achieve success with that. And they don't believe it's just too good to be true for someone like me. So we need to really connect on that emotional level, really understand those doubts, the objections that people have for when we create that content, so we can build that trust with them and make it practical for them, that they actually really want to buy from us. And with the practical side, it kind of goes hand in hand with the emotion. But if they can't see how that would fit into their everyday lives from a practical perspective, from their everyday working life of what you've got to offer, if it involves huge amounts of travel, if it involves committing too much time or speed, getting things fast, getting things affordable, that kind of thing. If that doesn't fit with your ideal clients, they aren't going to buy because they'll instantly rule that out if it's not practically viable for them. Connect those two dots, and then suddenly people will start to not only be viewing, but they'll be asking about buying. Tip 3 is the big one, the one that lots of people forget to do in the digital age where we're putting out a lot of content and people are consuming a lot of content. People don't have time to search for how they can work with you. They're not interested in taking that time to find out how to work with you. We need to make it really, really clear what we are talking about and how people can work with us. We need to give them a call to action, a next step. So anything you put out there needs a purpose. It needs a onward pathway for people to move forward with you. Whether that is just your freebie or come and listen to my podcast as I would do. But people need to know what they should do with that content. What is that next step? How can they interact? And it's understanding what the right call to action is. So, for instance, if you deal with people that have got deep-rooted trauma, for instance, or they are struggling and need some help and guidance, maybe you're a counsellor, a therapist in some way, maybe it's a mindset issue. These are all really difficult things for people often to face up to. If your call to action to them, if they followed you and they're liking what you do and you're posting stuff out there and at the bottom you're saying, book a free 30-minute discovery call with me, that might be too big a jump for people to take. If they're realizing that they've got mindset problems, or not problems isn't the right word, but you know where I'm going with this. If they realize that they're fighting their mindset and they need to sort stuff out to be able to grow and develop, but they're only just admitting it to themselves. The thought of getting and booking a call to talk to a person that they're following is a big step. They might not be ready for that step. They might need to take a little bit longer. You might need to build more trust with them before they even feel confident to make that decision. Sometimes it could be years before people actually get to a point where they can actually then book in to talk to someone when they are ready. So think about what that call to action is, and we want to make it right for the ideal clients in that moment and make it simple. Make it so that they can take action straight away in some easy way. Instagram makes that a little bit harder because you can't put links on. But sometimes I think going on to links means that people are bouncing away from the platform, and particularly when it's on phone, because the browser opens in Instagram often. So give them a call to action like drop me a message. Or the other thing to do is if you notice people engaging with your post, drop them a message, send them a DM. Say, I noticed that you liked this bit of content. What do you find interesting about it? Start those conversations, reach out to people and make that connection. That could be your call to action in some ways. So think about how people can take the next step and make it as easy as possible for the right people. Tip number 4, you're not showing up as yourself. Okay, I get this. Right. I know I've been doing marketing for, like I said, quite a while now. I've been doing it for over 20 years. And I spent most of that 20 years being the person behind the brand and showing up as other people, as aliases. I was very, very rarely in front of the camera. I very rarely had to be the voice of the business. I did all of the stuff that put other people at the front of the businesses that I worked with. Even when I had my cafe, bar and bakery, it was named after my grandmother. So it wasn't even me behind it. And actually people used to call me Elsie because that was my grandmother's name. So it didn't, sometimes I was working in the alias world of being an alter ego. So this I had to learn how to be myself and not be afraid to be myself. And I get that, like being a marketer, marketing yourself and being your own person in the digital space is hard. It is not easy and it's not comfortable. I'm getting comfortable with it. I'm getting comfortable with having my own voice, but I'm nowhere near there yet. I'm nowhere near feeling comfortable making myself known, showing up as me, because I have been behind companies where I've seen where things go wrong. and go really badly wrong sometimes, where you have to deal with crisis situations and manage difficult situations where there is online bullying involved, there is trolling involved. And some of that previous experience, in a way, has scarred me from showing up completely as myself. But what I can tell you is the people that show up as themselves, and I'm seeing this much more in my content, it will build your business faster. It will build those connections quicker, and it will get more sales. I often talk about the story I shared about the dentist. I also share a lot about my being a beekeeper, and it fascinates people. I get sales off the back of both just talking about bees. It's amazing. But again, I am showing up at myself and being the person that I am. And that's what people want to see. That's who they're going to work with. They're not going to, my products and services aren't the ones that are really going to make people buy. It's feeling like that they can connect with me and that they can really learn something from me and I'm the right fit for them. So show up as yourself because people believe you. They trust you, mistakes and all. Share everything because the more transparent they are, the more transparent you are, the more likely they are going to believe you and buy from you, believe it or not. I know, crazy, right? But it's true. The final point for you today. You're ignoring the buyer behavior. This is a big subject, and I could do an entire podcast series about this because there is so much to go into it. But what I would really suggest you do, and if you've been on any of my masterclasses or in the Creative Content Club, you know I go on about this. I bang the drum on this one a lot. But it's understanding the process of which people buy. They are not going to rock up on your social media feed or suddenly take your lead magnet quiz and then buy from you instantly. It's highly unlikely. Most people don't. It takes a lot longer than that. So we need to think about how long that journey takes and how much awareness of what we are selling needs to be put out there. People don't see everything you put out there. The only person that sees that is you. So you need to put out more and more content than you think. If you've put out lots and you feel sick of it, keep going. People need that brand repetition, awareness, building before they consider buying. It goes into the subconscious first before it becomes really conscious in their minds of something that they might need. So you need to make sure you're aware of that process from people finding you to people becoming buyers. It's much longer than you think sometimes, and you need to be doing more that will help you get the sales. One post ain't going to cut it. One email ain't going to cut it. You've got to really be thinking about that repetition and building that brand awareness, building that offer up and building that momentum, that excitement, that hype that gets people wanting to buy. And then that's where your content really starts to work hard for you. I hope that's been a useful podcast for you today. Sales and content and marketing, they go hand in hand with each other. There is no doubt about that. You can't have one without the other. They work side by side, but you need the visibility first in order to get the sales. I'd love to hear your experiences with this. Drop me a message, drop me a DM on Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever you can find me. All my links are in the show notes. And don't forget to take my content quiz if you haven't already. If your content isn't converting into clients, this is the quiz for you. Okay, I'll be back again next week with another episode. Have a lovely week. Thank you for listening to the Creative Content Club podcast with me, Naomi Rose. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this podcast a review. If this episode gave you clarity or sparked a new idea, I'd really appreciate it if you could share it with someone else who would find it useful. If you haven't already, give me a follow on Instagram and come and connect with me on LinkedIn. And finally, don't forget to check out the show notes to take my quiz to find out exactly why your content isn't converting into clients. Thanks again for listening, and I'll be back again next week with another episode.